Welcome to the show. I'm Jessica Shaw.
I'm Touré.
And this is BingeWorthy.
We tell you what to binge
and what to delete.
Today we'll discuss Psych, the movie.
The sci-fi show Happy.
And season 2 of The Crown.
Cheers to hiding from holiday crowds and your family with great television.
And thanks to our host Vinyl in New York City. All right, Jess, let's talk TV.
Yes, James Roday and Dulé Hill have reunited in a TV movie for the belovedly kooky cop show Psych, about a phony psychic detective and his partner/childhood best friend. It takes place 3 years after the events of this series finale, as a mysterious killer targets one of their buddies.
Oh, really?
Psych the movie airs Thursday, December 7th at 8 on USA.
Yo, buddy. Long time no hablas.
You literally called me 3 minutes ago.
Well, what can I say? I missed the velvety smooth timbre of your retorts. Now, are you sitting down? Because I have big news.
Don't tease me, Sean. Is this about Pluto?
Even bigger. Psych the movie is, wait for it, finally happening.
What?
I know. Do you know what this means?
It means you need hair.
Gus, it's a summer cut. Old English sheepdogs do it every year.
Man, you don't know about sheepdogs.
I don't know about summer cuts.
Whatever.
We got to get back in shape.
This is one of those shows, you know how we all have those shows where you're like, oh, I missed the boat on this. I don't totally, like, there are all these psychos, and I think that's what they call themselves, and they're obsessed with the show, and they love it. So I came new to this movie.
Okay.
So as I'm watching it, I'm like, their chemistry is amazing.
Okay.
It's funny. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, how enjoyable this is going to be for someone who understands what's going on.
Right.
And yet, it is not a movie that I can honestly say that I watched and I was like, yes, I completely got every reference. I understand what's going on, because if you come new to this movie and you've never seen the show, it's not for you.
Look,
then again, that's not what they were trying. They're not trying to bring in new viewers with this movie, but it is not for the uninitiated. Let's just put it that way.
You know, there's this sort of saw that goes around that people say that, like, you know, drama is hard, but comedy is really hard. And watching this, I felt like, oh wow, comedy is really hard. Like, they make it look really hard. It's not that funny. I'm constantly like, there are actors acting in front of me. I didn't believe any of it. I didn't find it funny. You know what? A movie is supposed to have a plot, right? Which says the main character wants something, and when they either get it or don't, we know that the story is over and the movie is ending. Halfway through, I was like, what do they want? What are they going after? What is the end point that we're driving toward? I had no idea. This was so maddening.
But don't you think this movie was more about being a love letter to the fans and saying, you know what, we're gonna put in John Cena and Zachary Levi, who plays this really over-the-top character, and Jimmy Simpson, and there's a whole pineapple thing going on, and that's like a, you know, that's like a trigger word for Psych fans, and it felt like a love letter to the fans, and I think that there's something nice about it. They're not trying to court you and me.
I mean, look, I don't think it's about courting. I think that the individual piece should work or not, regardless of whether or not we've been watching the show faithfully. And just as a piece of television, it doesn't work. It's a mess. It's all over the place. It's so absurdly unfunny and silly and ridiculous.
You didn't think they had amazing chemistry, the two of them? And the pop culture, there are like all these references to different, you know, pop culture and to songs and TV and cultural events. I don't know, like, I felt like I could see it. To be honest, it made me want to go back and watch the show a little bit.
Really? Oh, heck
Yes.
no. It made me wish for it to all stop. I'm like, really? 90 minutes of this tomfoolery? No, I'm good. This was a mess. And what was it about? I keep coming back to that. Even 20 minutes in, I'm like, what is this about?
But it's
and I have
never
no
about.
idea.
But it's never. This show was never about the case of the week or who they're trying to find or, oh, you got to
Just give
find
me-
this killer. It's about
just give me
this,
something.
the chemistry. It's about the friendship. It's about.
You want me to go 90 minutes with you? I have to be going somewhere. I mean, like, I was like, if they ended now, what would I say? Oh, they didn't answer this question or they didn't figure out that. Like, nothing. No, I'm done with this chemistry. The chemistry's not enough. We need more than
Well-
chemistry, and I'm not even sure that the chemistry is so great that I'm enveloped in. No, I'm super deleting the show. I was so mad that they took me on this hour-and-a-half journey. There was no direction, there was no plot, and I don't need like David Mamet, right? I'm just talking about just give me a general direction of where we're going and why, and I can follow you.
Like, what would you do if you tuned in for the series finale of The Sopranos? Would you be like, oh, okay, I get this. Like, I can see what this is. Not to compare this to The Sopranos, but I have to say, if you've never seen Psych before, none of that, you won't appreciate any of this. So if you're not a psycho, delete. But if you are, I think you're going to be happy, and then you should binge.
I mean, if you're a psycho, then you're going to be all in anyway. If you're, if you're willing to call yourself that and be down with the show, then you're all in, right? But for the rest of us, what are you doing?
Which is so weird, because you are a psycho.
I am. Okay. Coming up next, we'll talk about the new series, Happy.
And the new season of The Crown.
Welcome back, I'm Touré.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
And this is BingeWorthy.
We tell you what to binge.
And what to delete. Happy stars the great Chris Maloney as a hitman / ex-cop with a drug problem. And when he gets high, he speaks to an animated unicorn imaginary friend voiced by the incomparable Patton Oswalt. It airs Wednesdays at 10 on Sci-Fi.
I died. I really did it.
Clear.
Perfect.
Hey, mister, come on, snap out of it. Hey, can you see me? Whoa, yeah, you can see me.
What the hell?
I'm happy. The happy horse so full of fun, of course. It's plain to see it's fun to be happy. Here comes the fun.
I love this show. I didn't think I would. It's so alive and funny and weird and unpredictable. And I mean, Chris Maloney is awesome.
Yes.
He's very intense. He's brooding. He has to deal with these great mood swings when he's not high and then when he is high. And playing crazy is really hard, and it's easy to do wrong, and you feel like, oh, the actor is just going to a crazy place, but not. And he's not crazy. He's a drug addict, but similar. But I believe him, and I believe Chris in this, and I love Patton Oswalt in everything. But it's such great violence in this. I love it.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean,
When
first
they
of
were
all,
shooting people and ripping bodies apart in this very visual, graphic, like post-Tarantino way, I love it.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like those graphic, because it is based on this graphic novel, and Chris Maloney, I agree with you. He's incredible.
So
he is
intense.
one of the most electric performers I've ever seen on TV.
Yes.
I love whether he's in Wet Hot or True Blood. I mean, even like Law and Order.
Yeah.
I mean, SVU. He's just so good in everything he does. And from the first scene of the show, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. It's gonna be super over the top.
I hear a butt coming.
There is a but, because I felt like you see this early scene in the show, and he, he kind of, his head is blown off, and there's blood spurting everywhere.
Yes, and he's dancing.
And that moment, I was like, yes, they are just going for it. They are going for it.
Yes.
But over the course of the 2 episodes I watched, as many moments like that as there were other moments where you could feel the effort of the producers and the director saying, you know what, let's be a legitimate show. Let's also make this about something else. And in those moments, I felt like the show was weakened. When Chris Maloney is allowed to be just, full throttle, 100%, crazy, and the visuals and the violence, and not that I'm someone who glorifies violence, but I think it is done in a really great comic book fun kind of way.
Yeah.
When they do those moments, I'm like, yes, this is a great show. But when they try and bring another kind of more serious plot to it, during those moments, I thought, you're not what you could be.
I mean, the graphic violence is extraordinary and really great visually, and I loved watching that. And I'm not some sort of violence monger, but when it's done in a great, precise, sort of beautiful way, I can get really into it. I mean, yeah, there's some moments when there's a little more normal talking that is not have the intensity of the chase scenes, the fight scenes, the the Chris Maloney character is crazy and on another drug bender scenes, but like this show just has a chip on its shoulder and it's kind of badass and it's weird. I'm not really sure what's gonna happen. There's this great pace to it, this great energy to it, and it's again anchored by Chris Maloney's great performance of this weird, wild guy, but who's got all these emotions and all this bursting outside of him, but he grounds it. He makes it realistic. I believe him. I like him. I trust him.
Yeah.
I want to follow him. I love this.
I have to say, without Maloney, I'm deleting this show. To be honest with you, because
well, it's a tough role, right? You got to get the right actor to live up to that.
And good Lord, he is so good. And even Happy, the animated unicorn thing that Patton Oswalt is doing the voice of, that's like so crazy that if you explain it to people, you're like, oh, you should watch the show about this like stuffed unicorn with these big buck teeth, and he is trying to lead this character to a girl who's been abducted by like a really creepy guy in a Santa Claus costume. It's hard to explain. But if you see Chris Maloney turn in this performance, this extraordinary performance, you want to watch for that.
I'm binging this because I have no idea what's going to happen, and I really want to see. They are very thoughtful and imaginative, and I'm along for the ride.
All right, I feel like I am reluctantly binging this. I feel like if this show were on a different network, I feel like they would allow the showrunners and the directors to really go full throttle, commit to this, don't pull back, don't hold back, and that's the show that I want to see of Happy. This isn't quite there enough, but for Chris Maloney, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because he is so damn good in this show.
He's very good.
And I will binge it.
He's very good. It's a hard role.
The acclaimed drama The Crown has returned for a second season on Netflix. It takes place in the 1960s this season, and this is Claire Foy and Matt Smith's final season as Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip.
The world has changed. Society in Britain has changed.
You married a wild spirit. Trying to tame them is no use.
This restlessness of yours, it has to be a thing of the past. The monarchy's too fragile. You keep telling me yourself. One more scandal, one more national embarrassment, and it would all be over.
Claire Foy is absolutely masterful as Queen Elizabeth. She does so much. She has to be so buttoned up and so reserved, and she will give like even a slight movement of her eyebrow, and you're like, I know exactly what you're trying to say because you're so good at what you do. Wow. I'm crazy about this show.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so I don't think that the people who founded America did so that we could sit here watching a freaking drama about the Queen. No.
You're gonna use the America argument? You're going to use the America argument to tell me not to watch the show?
I mean, look, if it was interesting, if it had some pace, if it had some, I don't know, things happening that really mattered to me. I mean, like, I'm sorry. I know you love this. I'm so bored. I'm so uninterested. I don't care about this woman. I don't care about her little eyebrow. Downton Abbey moved way faster than this, and I didn't like that. This thing I can't with at all. I fell asleep twice trying to get through the first episode.
No.
And I was like, what is happening?
I could not get
You're
enough.
like, oh my God, the eyebrow move? Yeah, that's all that she did? I'm bored.
I could not get enough, and as fascinating as the story of...
How many did you watch?
I watched 6, and I cannot wait. Like, literally, I'm walking out of here, and I'm watching the other 4 because I can't get enough of this show. I also love Princess Margaret, Queen Elizabeth's sister, who's just like, she's had a rough go. I mean, Queen Elizabeth would not allow her to marry the love of her life because he was a divorcee and
Where's
it couldn't happen.
Diana? Where's Meghan Markle? I want like interesting people.
Well, that's the thing. You think Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's engagement, that is so relevant and so in the news right now.
Yeah.
All of the roots of that story, why he can
please.
marry someone who's divorced, all of that is happening because of Queen Elizabeth. So you see so many things. You see the roots of why Diana was embraced as the people's princess, how important it was to open up the palace to quote unquote commoners, and how important it was to.
I'm American. Why do I care about any of these things?
Because it's a historical drama. I love it.
Please, a historical drama. I mean, it is an historical drama, but like, why do I care? Why do I want to go down this rabbit hole with these people? They're so slow and it's so boring. And what are we talking about? And why are we talking with this accent? You are killing me.
Why are we talking with this accent? Oh my gosh.
I'm super deleting this show. I do not like The Crown. The first time we did this show, I was like, hated it, and you loved it so much, I was like, maybe I watched the wrong show. No, now I know. No, I didn't watch the wrong show. The show just sucks. I'm sorry. Can't with The Crown. There's moments of beauty, but not enough cinematography to rope me. And I would think, like, we're talking about the Queen. They would have these epic shots, and it would, like,
They do.
No, it doesn't have the visual ambition that a show about the Queen should have. And I just really don't care about any of you royal people.
It's very much about how, in some ways, there are some people who are like the royal family. They are, you know, a step from God. They are. It is a divine assignment in some ways to be in the royal family.
What is going on?
Right, but this season is about bringing it into modern day. I mean, it's the 1960s. Things are changing. Things are changing in the UK. They're changing in the world. And this season is really about taking those changes, hearing the criticism, adapting or not adapting. I mean, this is not a story that someone made up. This actually happened. I think the performances are mind-blowingly good, and I'm so happy to recommend that people binge it because it is a truly extraordinary show.
I would not stake my reputation on telling people to watch The Crown.
Off with his head. Sorry, that's
well
France.
played. Well played. Coming up, we'll discuss the new series, Nightfall.
And we'll let you know who gave the performance of the week.
Welcome back, I'm Touré.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
And this is BingeWorthy. We're going to tell you what to binge.
And what to delete.
The medieval drama Nightfall takes us into what it would be like to live and, more importantly, to fight in France hundreds of years ago. There's swords and shields and the blood of men everywhere. It airs Wednesdays at 10 on History.
Andre de Luzon, your sword. Where were you first prepared to lead the temple?
In my heart.
And where was that heart tested?
In the field of battle.
By the grace of God, rise, master of the temple.
Rise, master of the temple.
And find us the Grail.
The fight scenes in this are fantastic when you see these guys sort of gird up and attack each other, and there's blood and slicing and
so much chainmail.
So much chainmail.
Yeah.
There's this one great moment when one person's attacking another. Next thing you know, he gets a sword through the back of his head, so the shot is from under, and you see just the sword coming out through his mouth. A moment ago, he was alive, and now he's got all this steel. That was fantastic. When they're not fighting, I could not be more bored. What are we talking about? This is so drip-drying, paint-drying, boring when they're not fighting. But when they're fighting, it's dope.
Yeah, I know what you mean, except that even those fight sequences, they just feel, and they have the team, I mean, the behind-the-scenes team of this show. You've got some Game of Thrones people, you've got some Outlander people, and you can feel the effort. They're like, get me something. It's almost like it looks like Game of Thrones. It feels like there's some illicit sex going on.
That's saying a lot. It does not look that much
Well,
like Game of Thrones.
but you know what I mean? Like it reminds you of certain shows, and yet the sum of the parts is just not that good.
No.
They try and do all these things to remind you of shows that you love and that are really wonderful shows like Thrones, and they do these slow-mo fight sequences or these epic battles or these huge moments on a ship, and they shot all this stuff on location and throughout Europe and everything. But even as I was watching, I was like, you spent so much money on this show and it is boring.
I mean, the normal talking and the blah blah blah, like I can't.
Yeah, I also I couldn't get into it, and I love the idea of this order of knights, and they're driven by something else. They are not necessarily answering to the king, and they're not necessarily answering to other people. That they're going to do what they're going to do. And I'm like, there are pieces, there are ingredients of a show that could be good, and yet when they put it together, it just feels so lackluster.
When they stop fighting and start talking, they've lost me. And that's why I am not binging this show.
Yeah.
I am deleting this Nightfall madness.
I'm deleting it too. Sorry. The performance of the week goes to Lyric Ross for her performance as Deja in the fall finale episode of This Is Us, number 3. Let's watch a clip.
I don't want you to think that just because I want to go home doesn't mean I don't like living with you.
I know that. You don't have to worry about that, I know.
I know my mother does some stupid stuff sometimes, but mostly she's cool.
Well, I know you're not too keen on me touching you, so.
It's really when I don't see it coming.
Okay. So.
This episode should have belonged to Sterling K. Brown, who, by the way, is amazing as Randall on the show. And yet this actress, this young actress who played Deja, and you thought, okay, she's gonna be adopted by the family, and then in that episode, she has to say goodbye to them. And it's a moment that could have been overplayed, and it could have been super melodramatic, and Lord knows This Is Us does not hold back when it comes to melodrama. And she delivers such a beautiful performance and shows so much with really not overselling it.
Yeah.
I just thought she was so good. I thought she delivered such a lovely performance this season. I can't wait to see what she does next.
In difficult emotional moments, for the most part, kid actors are a little off.
Right.
They're not usually nailing, she's just right on it. It's amazing. That's it for our show. Thanks for watching.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
I'm Touré, and this has been BingeWorthy.
Cheers to the Pearson family tear ducts.